Imagine the cradle of civilization stirring beneath a relentless Mesopotamian sun, where the twin arteries of the Tigris and Euphrates carve life out of an unforgiving landscape. This is Ur, the jewel of Sumer, around 2100 BCE, during the golden age of the Third Dynasty. Here stood one of the world's first true cities, a dense urban powerhouse of more than 65,000 inhabitants, rising from the floodplain in baked brick and belief. Towering above its neighborhoods loomed the great ziggurat, a man-made mountain reaching toward the heavens, anchoring the city between gods and earth. Kings such as Ur-Nammu ruled not merely as administrators, but as divinely sanctioned guardians of cosmic order, lawgivers whose authority was etched into clay tablets and stone. Ur was not simply impressive in scale, it was revolutionary in function. Against the desert's grip, its people forged technologies that transformed survival into civilization. The wheel, perfected by Sumerian craftsmen, reshaped movement, transport, and trade, allowing goods, people, and ideas to circulate with unprecedented speed. Beneath the soil, intricate irrigation canals redirected the volatile rivers, taming floods into predictable lifelines that turned barren earth into surplus-rich fields. These innovations were not abstract inventions. They powered everyday life. Farmers depended on canal schedules carved into tablets. Merchants loaded wheeled carts with grain and wool, and scribes tracked it all with the world's earliest writing system. In Ur, technology was destiny. Every canal dug, every wheel turned, echoed humanity's first great leap from subsistence to organized society. This was a city alive with artisans, traders, priests, and laborers, all sustained by engineered solutions to nature's extremes. Long before steel, electricity, or concrete, Ur proved that human ingenuity could bend rivers, reshape landscapes, and build civilizations that would define the future. Here, in sun-baked streets and flowing canals, the foundations of the modern world were first set in motion. Let us begin with the irrigation systems, the silent heroes that transformed Ur's arid plains into a living, fertile landscape. These systems powered an agricultural revolution and sustained the city's explosive growth. By 2100 BCE, under the Third Dynasty, the Sumerians had perfected a vast, state-controlled network of canals, levees, and reservoirs. It was a hydraulic masterpiece built without modern machinery, planned on clay tablets, and carved into the earth with bronze hose and relentless human labor. From the Euphrates River, enormous canals branched outward like veins from a beating heart. They were not dug at random. Sumerian engineers carefully leveled them using simple sighting tools, creating slopes so gentle they were almost imperceptible. In some cases, the gradient was as precise as 1 in 10,000. This precision allowed water to flow smoothly across long distances, preventing erosion while maximizing how far each channel could reach. Many of these canals stretched for miles and were wide enough for boats to pass through, carrying grain, tools, and people. Their sides were lined with baked clay or tightly packed reeds to reduce water loss in the porous soil. Wooden sluice gates controlled the flow, opened and closed with ropes and pulleys, directing water exactly where it was needed. During flood season, massive earthen levees rose along the riverbanks, reinforced with woven mats and stone. They held back raging waters. Excess floodwater was diverted into reservoirs, stored carefully for the long, dry months ahead. To bring water to fields higher than the canals, farmers relied on shadoofs. These simple but effective machines used a counterweighted pole and bucket to lift water upward, one steady motion at a time. Long before mechanical pumps existed, shadoofs expanded the reach of irrigation and turned marginal land into productive farmland. This system was not left to chance. Royal decrees required constant maintenance through corvée labor. Citizens were drafted seasonally to dredge silt from canal beds, repair breaches, and reinforce embankments. Overseers supervised the work, while scribes recorded quotas, labor days, and supplies on cuneiform tablets. Failure meant catastrophe. A blocked canal could lead to crop failure, hunger, and unrest. Success, however, meant abundance. With water under control, agriculture flourished. Barley harvests doubled. Wheat thrived. Date palms filled irrigated groves, producing fruit, syrup, and fiber. Fields yielded up to 30 times the amount of seed sown, an extraordinary return by ancient standards. This surplus supported specialized workers, priests, scribes, and craftsmen, and it fed armies marching far from home. In the markets of Ur, this abundance filled massive granaries and fueled long-distance trade. Grain was exchanged for lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, copper from Oman, and other rare materials from across the ancient world. Without these irrigation systems, now eroded by millennia, but still visible in ruins like the Girsu Canal network, Ur's fields would have dried and failed. Commerce would have collapsed. The city's rise as a global hub would never have been possible. Yet the power of irrigation reached far beyond the fields, weaving itself into the rhythm of daily life and magnifying Ur's agricultural strength. At dawn, farmers rose from mud brick homes clustered along the canals, stepping into a world where water meant survival. Their fields were not privately owned in the modern sense. They were allocated by the temple state, binding agriculture directly to religion and government. Every harvest was both labor and obligation. Using A-yard plows, simple wooden beams tipped with bronze and pulled by oxen, farmers cut furrows into soil made rich by river silt. They planted emmer wheat, barley, lentils, onions, and garlic, rotating crops to preserve fertility, an early form of sustainable farming. Thanks to irrigation, the land produced not once, but twice each year. Winter grains filled the fields in cooler months. Summer vegetables followed, alongside sesame for oil and flax for linen. Water transformed time itself, turning seasons into predictable cycles of abundance. Women and children gathered reeds along the canal banks, weaving them into baskets, mats, and ropes essential for storage and transport. Nearby, scribes recorded every measure of grain using the sexagesimal system, a base 60 form of mathematics that still shapes how we count hours and minutes today. Nothing went unmeasured. Nothing went unrecorded. Agriculture fed not only bodies, but bureaucracy. Surplus harvests flowed into royal and temple storehouses, where they were redistributed as rations. A laborer's daily allotment might include 2 liters of barley, cooking oil, and wool. These rations formed the backbone of social stability, ensuring workers, soldiers, and craftsmen were fed even when personal harvests failed. In Ur, food was power, and irrigation was its source. But the system carried risks. Over-irrigation caused salt to rise to the surface, slowly whitening the soil and choking crops. The Sumerians responded with adaptation, shifting from wheat to hardier, salt-tolerant barley. It was a quiet innovation, born from observation rather than theory. Nature pushed back, and human ingenuity adjusted. Other threats loomed as well. Locust swarms darkened the skies. Floods broke levees and drowned fields. In response, technology merged with faith. Farmers offered clay figurines at canal heads and prayed to Ningirsu, god of agriculture and irrigation, seeking divine protection for water and soil alike. In Ur, engineering and religion were not opposites. They were partners. This delicate balance of water, labor, mathematics, and belief powered Ur's economy. Agriculture was not seen as drudgery, but as sacred duty. Its success freed others to specialize. Artisans forged bronze tools. Merchants loaded boats in bustling river harbors. Scribes shaped the written word. The irrigation network, now mostly erased by time, was a lost technology not just in scale, but in impact. It did more than water crops. It watered civilization itself, creating the surplus that made invention, culture, and history possible. Now turn the wheel of time to another cornerstone of Ur's genius: wheel-making. Born in Sumer around 3500 BCE and refined by 2100 BCE, the wheel became a powerful, multi-purpose technology that transformed commerce, craftsmanship, and daily life. These were not the crude discs of legend, but carefully engineered tools perfected through generations of experimentation and skill. Early Sumerian wheels were carved from solid wooden planks clamped together with copper nails. Over time, artisans improved the design, developing tripartite wheels made from three-joined segments reinforced with wooden struts. This reduced weight while preserving strength, allowing carts to move faster and carry heavier loads. In workshops across Ur, lit by flickering oil lamps, craftsmen selected acacia or tamarisk wood, prized for durability. Using adzes and chisels, they shaped each component by hand, boring precise holes for axles that were coated with animal fat to reduce friction and wear. By the height of the Third Dynasty, wheel technology took another leap forward. Spoked wheels appeared on elite chariots, reserved for royalty, messengers, and military use. These wheels used spokes carved from flexible wood or reeds, bound tightly with leather thongs. The result was a lighter, faster wheel that increased speed and maneuverability, especially valuable on long roads and open plains. The wheel reshaped industry as profoundly as it did transport. The potter's wheel, a horizontal flywheel spun by hand or foot, revolutionized ceramic production. Potters centered lumps of clay and pulled them upward into perfectly symmetrical vessels in minutes, a process that once took hours. Fired in updraft kilns, these vessels became standardized jars for storing oil, wine, and grain, essential for trade and taxation. Excavations at Ur have uncovered wheeled toys placed in royal tombs, suggesting that even children understood the magic of motion. The famous Standard of Ur depicts four-wheeled wagons rolling into battle, their solid wheels crushing enemies beneath their weight. This was not invention for its own sake, but mastery through application. Wheels mounted on sledges evolved into carts pulled by oxen or onagers, capable of hauling loads 10 times heavier than a human could carry. In commerce, this changed everything. Merchants loaded amphorae onto wagons and traveled overland to Elam or toward Persian Gulf ports, where reed boats carried goods even farther. Every day, wheels turned in grain mills, grinding flour for the city, and on patrol routes, where chariots secured trade corridors. Yet wheel-making was a demanding art, wood warped under heat and strain, requiring constant maintenance. Craftsmen followed cuneiform instructions that read like technical manuals, including recipes for mixing bitumen to waterproof and reinforce wooden parts. This knowledge, once widespread, is now largely lost to time. Without the wheel, Ur's markets would have slowed to a crawl. With it, silver shekels circulated, trade expanded, and barter evolved into standardized systems of weight and value. Tin arrived for bronze production. Exotic materials flowed into the city. The wheel did more than move goods. It accelerated civilization itself, turning Ur into a crossroads of innovation, wealth, and power whose influence would echo for millennia. The wheel's impact on daily commerce was nothing short of epic. It threaded through the streets of Ur like a living force, accelerating the rhythm of exchange that defined Sumerian prosperity. Picture the harbor at Ur, bustling with activity. Round coracle boats sealed with black bitumen were hauled onto wheeled cradles along the riverbank. From them came cedar wood from Lebanon, carnelian from the distant Indus Valley, and other exotic goods that spoke of far-reaching trade networks. Wheeled carts carried these treasures inland, rolling toward the great temple complexes where scribes waited with clay tablets in hand. Inside places like the Iana complex, every shipment was counted and recorded. Cylinder seals were rolled across wet clay, spinning like miniature wheels to authenticate transactions and mark ownership. In the markets beyond, commerce buzzed with energy. Farmers arrived pushing carts heavy with barley baskets. Artisans displayed wheel-thrown pottery, its smooth, symmetrical forms painted with ochre designs. Traders offered finely woven textiles, their loom techniques echoing the rotational logic of the wheel itself. The bureaucracy of the Ur III state tracked this constant movement with astonishing precision. More than 100,000 preserved documents reveal a world of tallies, receipts, and quotas. Taxes were often paid in kind. A merchant might surrender a portion of his dates or grain, contributions that funded canal maintenance, temple construction, and the workshops where wheels were forged and repaired. The wheel even enabled mobile labor. Blacksmiths transported anvils and tools by cart, setting up temporary forges to produce sickles and blades just in time for harvest. In agriculture, wheels amplified productivity. Though early wheeled plows were simple, they cut deeper into the soil. Carts hauled manure and silt as fertilizer, enriching fields already fed by irrigation. Across society, wheels connected every class. Kings rode in gilded chariots during public ceremonies. Officials traveled swiftly between cities. At the same time, slaves and laborers pushed barrows of bricks, feeding the rise of ziggurats that towered nearly 70 feet into the sky. Challenges followed progress. Roads rutted under constant traffic and had to be reinforced with gypsum slabs. Designers responded with improvements such as pivoting axles, allowing carts to turn more easily in crowded streets. This was a living technology, constantly refined. Wheel-making in Ur was not static knowledge, but an evolving craft, now mostly lost, yet once powerful enough to bind distant regions into a single economic system. As we rise from the sands of time, the lost technologies of Ur stand revealed. Irrigation carved life from the desert. The wheel set that life in motion. Together, they powered agricultural abundance and ceaseless commerce at the dawn of human civilization. In 2100 BCE, these were not luxuries. They were necessities, shaping a city where gods walked among men and ideas outlived empires. Though buried for millennia, their legacy endures in our canals, our wheels, and our cities. From the cradle of civilization, their echoes still turn, still flow, and still carry us forward. If this journey into humanity's earliest innovations has sparked your curiosity, make sure to support the channel. Like the video to help these stories reach more explorers of the past. Subscribe for in-depth documentaries that uncover the hidden technologies, forgotten cities, and untold lives that shaped our world. And turn on notifications so you never miss a voyage into history's deepest layers. The past still has countless secrets waiting to be revealed, and the next one is closer than you think.